In the future, as far as our interstate, it's all important as the railroads were important to the community 100 years ago.
The population here today is approximately 3,000, where just before the interstate highway went in, we had a population of a little over 800 people.
And I suspect within the next 10 years that this entire highway, I-35, will be a solid community from the Kansas City boundaries all the way to Olathe.
At the time we acquired this property, we found that it was more expensive than other property that was available. However, we chose this because of the interstate system, and we have found that we made a wise decision.
This is where the Santa Fe Trail began. Today it is Kansas City, crossroads of American transportation and industry. Since the 19th century, this city has been a livestock and grain market, railroad and industry headquarters. Now the interstate and defense highway system is opening up new avenues of growth and providing direction and a timetable for the progress that will keep this and all other American cities alive. Kansas City and the nearby towns and villages combine to form a metropolitan area that is a cross-section as well as a crossroads. The attitudes and opinions expressed by the people here are repeated over and over all across the country. It is an ideal location to investigate the importance and the impact of the interstate highway on the nation's economy. Here we can find men like C.C. Pember, store owner and civic leader in Olathe, Kansas. He lives and works just 20 minutes from Kansas City on Interstate 35, and he has seen what the new highway has done for his community.
We have had several large industries, the largest of which is the DELCO plant of General Motors, the King Radios, and several lesser-sized plants come to the community. There has been increased business activity with new firms and new stores, and it has widened our trade territory. In the future, as far as our interstate, it's all important as the railroads were important to the community 100 years ago.
As important as the railroads were 100 years ago. Important because trucks, not trains, are carrying the freight to most cities and towns today, and because passenger cars, not Pullman cars, are carrying the people. The interstate system is a highway system separate and unique from all other highways in America. 90% of the cost of building the 41,000-mile limited access high-speed roadway is being paid by the federal government, with taxes paid by the highway users. When it is completed in 1972, the network will carry 1/5 of all the country's traffic, even though it will be only 1% of the total highway system. Already, the interstate system is shortening the distance between terminals and making every community accessible. Travel and shipping times are less, routes more direct, and fragile and perishable goods arrive fresher and in better condition. The new roads mean lower costs to both shipper and shopper, and at the same time, they free commercial districts of profitless through traffic. With the growing network comes growth for the communities it serves.
Hey, I'm Bruce Dickey, Vice President of the Farmers State Bank here in Lenexa. When I-35 came in, we saw quite a housing development, and recently, in the last 6 months to a year, we have seen a very substantial interest by industry to come into our community. Well, Farmers State has a lot of faith in the community in Lenexa, and we are in the process at the present time of constructing a new bank building on a site just 1 block north of where we are. The building that we now have has been sold to one of our local Merchants, who is going to expand his present operation into a supermarket. New industry has been very receptive to our community, and presently we have General Motors, who has just about ready to move into their new building, which is on I-35, and we have 2 or 3 other companies that are coming in that will employ in the neighborhood of 100 to 200 people.
New jobs mean new people and a new standard of living for older communities. Each interstate mile that brings a suburban community closer to the city it serves means more people willing to drive the 20 or 30 or even 50 miles between home and job. It is reflected in the housing developments growing up around the interchanges and beyond the rights of way. As the population grows, so must the local businesses that serve the everyday needs of the people. The interstate highways and connecting urban beltways and freeways practically bring the marketplace to the consumer. Expansion of local stores and the creation of new shopping centers are part of the prosperity that comes with good roads. A large part of that prosperity is the increase in employment resulting from industrial and commercial expansion into suburban and rural areas served by the interstate system. Typical is this research center for a Kansas City chemical company. C.Y. Thomas tells how his company selected the location.
We wanted to be fairly close to downtown Kansas City because we have about 300 people in our general headquarters down there. It is our general operating headquarters, but we didn't want to be too far away. I finally settled on 3 locations along what was then US 50, the highway to Olathe, Kansas, because I knew that in a very short time, Interstate 35 was going to come right by our door, and this would give us high-speed transportation downtown Kansas City. Our people can get downtown to our main office, where Dr. Robertson, the head of our Research and Development Department, has his offices. They can get down there in 15 to 20 minutes from this place, and this makes it a splendid location. I suppose that the average resident is probably not over 10 minutes from this particular center, and that's a tremendous advantage.
Wherever you look today, industries of all types are discovering the same kinds of advantages described by Mr. Thomas. They range from heavy manufacturing to light industry. Insurance companies. Executive offices and government installations. For all, the advantages are the same. Room to build and expand. Parking. Access to high-speed direct highways. The effects of this 41,000-mile highway system are felt everywhere. Every business of any size can see and take part in the changing concepts of location and service. Dean Edwards is president and general manager of a truck sales and service company in Kansas City. He explains his move from an established location this way.
We chose this location due to the accessibility to the freeways and the major highways running through this area. We have found that since our move here, our business has increased immediately and has constantly been on the increase since. Due to the accessibility to the highways, the customers find it much easier to get to us. We found a piece of property that had probably more parking area than the property here. However, it wasn't accessible to the interstate freeway system. I think that the urban renewal program possibly was prompted partially because of the interstate system.
Urban renewal prompted because of the interstate system. Mr. Edwards was, of course, speaking about Kansas City. But the same thing could be said for almost every city and town in our country. The masses of earth, steel, and concrete that are being moved and molded to build the interstate system are setting up waves of movement in all our urban areas. New jobs for the construction workers. Increased production for industries that supply them. tenement neighborhoods and blighted commercial districts replaced by modern communities, all bringing a new face to the American cityscape. The new highways, with access ramps, connecting loops, and feeder streets, are being integrated into total transportation plans for urban areas. It is happening in Hartford and Chicago, Minneapolis and San Francisco, Kansas City, and New York City. Where the roads go, new buildings follow. In Chicago, tenements are being replaced by modern low-cost apartments on land adjacent to high-speed freeways. In New York City, a 36-story apartment building is growing in the airspace above the freeway leading from the George Washington Bridge. Just beyond is a terminal for commuter buses, providing effective use of the space left by the depressed highway constructed below. In fact, as far as the eye can see, in almost every city, concrete and asphalt are changing the patterns of land and land use. Soon, traffic will flow smoothly in, around, and between every major city and town in America. There will be no traffic tie-ups where the interstate goes. Driving time will become minutes for local trips, and city-to-city travel will be shorter by hours. The interstate and defense highway system is opening new vistas for all highway users. The complete network will make it possible to drive coast to coast and border to border without a stoplight, without delays caused by heavy traffic. The scenic beauty of our land will be within sight of every traveler. Tires on the pavement will sing, "Come on, America, the welcome mat is out." Every city and every state will be at the end of an access ramp or just beyond the next interchange. There will be no lack of opportunity to stop at the traveler's convenience. The fingers of concrete and asphalt will beckon all Americans to recreation and resort areas of all sizes and kinds. This is the road to prosperity. It is already bringing a new kind of life to people like these and to the places where they live. The end of the road lies ahead in the future. The fulfillment of the promises made by these signs of an America designed for the transportation that serves it lies at the end of that road.